We're going to be talking about hiring trends and tips with Cheryl McCue, our special guest. Thanks so much for joining us, Cheryl.
Oh, Allie, Christine, thank you. It's truly a pleasure to be with you. I'm so looking forward to this opportunity, and I hope there are some questions in the chat because we want to make this the most meaningful for our guests as possible. So thank you so much.
Agreed. So I wanted to just start off with if you could tell us a little bit about your background and your current role.
Absolutely. I really began my career in the K-12 educational world. I was trained first as an elementary teacher and then quickly became a principal before moving into roles of middle school assistant principal. I served as a director of student services and evaluation, and then a director of elementary education. And then more recently, and towards the closing of my career in K-12 ed, as the director of human resources, where I oversaw and supported the hiring and the staffing needs within a school district. That was all before coming to Lehigh as the director of employer engagement. In this role, which I absolutely love, I'm enjoying very much being part of the Center for Career and Professional Development team. I work with that team to develop and to build, strengthen partnerships with our employers in order to create opportunities for our students so that they can network, learn about industries and companies on their journeys to identifying their own career path. Also in the Career Center, I think it's important to share that, supports are provided to our students for career education and reporting of our services to our campus and our community partners really through our assessment and our outcomes work. So do an awful lot to support our students in their journey to finding their ultimate career goals and their career path.
Yes, well, we're so glad that you're part of the team. And given your role, my next question is, what are you seeing regarding hiring right now?
Oh gosh, that's a really challenging question, easily answered. But while some industries like hospitality and entertainment, as well as restaurants and retail, have really been significantly impacted by COVID-19, as anyone can see as you're accessing the community, there really are truly a number of industries that are still hiring and in need of recent graduates and our talented students at Lehigh. And for that, we're really very glad. We need to stay positive and be encouraged because there are certainly a number of employers who continue to hire. Some of those in the industries, in the fields, healthcare and pharmaceutical industries are hiring. Social media venues like cybersecurity and digital services all seem to be hiring as well. In the accounting, banking, and finance fields, many employers are hiring and continuing to honor their commitments to student interns and to the job offers, the permanent job positions that have been provided to some of our more recent Lehigh grads and our students. What we're seeing at Lehigh is some of our employer partners have been shortening the summer internships. Some of them are delaying the start dates for those internships. Even we're hearing from some of our recent grads that they are being delayed in their start for their permanent jobs as well. All of this really due to our employer partners trying to protect the health and welfare of their employees as they pivot to remote work like all of us have had to do. As students wound up closing out their semester on online, many companies, corporations were moving to those same kinds of environments, remote working, doing things through Zoom like we're doing today. So really, as a help to anyone who's still seeking employment right now, I like to go to the muse.com. So it's muse.com. I think it's an excellent resource as a publication because it posts and it regularly updates the list of employers that are currently hiring. The reason I really like this listing is because in addition to just the listing of employers who are hiring, also provides a profile of each company. Really very important, students and graduates, in doing your homework, understanding the company, the industry. So it provides that profile and also a description of the available jobs. So more recently, as of last week, the muse.com published about 94 companies who were still listing positions for job seekers. I'll also take an opportunity to remind you that of additional support, are the resources that we've shared through our Career Center blog and our newsletters, as well as all the postings that people have access to on Handshake. So still a lot of companies looking to hire and in those specific industries and fields that I shared.
Yeah, I appreciate all of that information. I think that's important for students to hear. I think when we're talking about employers, another question that comes to mind are what are some of the top skills that employers are really looking for?
Yeah, another really great question. I think at all times, communication and the ability to articulate your thoughts and your ideas clearly, effectively, they've always been important, but I think even more so now in the remote environments in which we find ourselves working. I think recent grads, as new employees, will really need to be prepared to navigate all modes of communication, especially considering digital literacy and the Zoom world in which we're now living. Um, Graduates and candidates for positions will need to be able to demonstrate how they think critically and how they problem solve through teamwork and collaboration. Companies are always looking for those skills. They should be able to display leadership and professionalism in how they work with others and being able to respond to the needs of the job, whether it be within the department or the company. So really overall, I think employers are looking for candidates with great personalities who have strength of character, solid work ethic to really do whatever it takes to get the job done. I think also critically and really important because it serves in direct response to what employers have had to do during COVID-19 is they want to see adaptability in their candidates, flexibility, and certainly agility in their new hires. I believe that they'll want to know what graduates have done during the last few months to really grow and adapt to the situation and to the learning. None of us ever imagined this happening, but the mark of character, the mark of strength is really in the face of it. What have you done to strengthen your skill set, to grow and to continue learning? So when I think about that, resiliency really comes to mind as well. And in that way, having graduates be able to show and share their ability to pivot to varying responsibilities and to be able to use their knowledge and their skill sets in whatever way the job requires. I believe demonstrating a sense of well-roundedness and having transferability of skills is going to be really significant for today's graduates in the job market. As companies, I think at the same time, are still reacting and responding to the impact of COVID-19 on their businesses. And really, we're hearing that in some cases, they're starting to think about the way they've always done things and reimagine themselves into new strategies and new techniques. So that's where the agility of new hires, the adaptability, the flexibility, all of those things I mentioned are going to be really important for our new grads as they're applying for positions. Great question.
You've highlighted so many wonderful skills, and just a reminder to students, if you go to the Career Resource Library, there's a lot of resources of ways that you can continue to build your skills at this time. We've been talking, mentioning about we're living in a virtual time right now. So in addition to skills and experience, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how does an individual's digital footprint play into the recruitment process?
Yeah, Ali, another excellent question, and one that I really I dealt with quite a bit as a director of human resources. As candidates were coming in, as we were trying to talk with some of our new hires and things. Really, I think that an individual's digital footprint says an awful lot about their personal brand. We often talk about company branding. Your digital footprint says an awful lot about your personal brand. It's a form of marketing yourself and really how you represent yourself. I liken it to, or share that it's kind of like the story that you tell about yourself before you actually are in the interview, before you have a chance to say a word in the interview. Your backstory, as seen in your digital footprint, says a lot. So I think students need to be sure that they're being professional, and they make sure that the story they tell through their words and the pictures on social media that we like to post is really the story that we want employers to hear. So in today's technology-driven world, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that everything and anything we do as people is really only a Google search away. So to that end, it's really important to think about the best avenues to use in creating your digital footprint and having your story and narrative be told about you as employers are looking and accessing social media sites.
Yeah, agreed. Professionalism, your personal brand are certainly important as you continue to advance in your career and when you're searching for positions. I was also wondering if you could touch on a little bit for students in terms of recruitment. What is the value of attending employer events that are posted on Handshake?
Really extreme. They're great value in attending our employer events, whether they're posted on Handshake, which has a wealth of opportunities for our students based on what our employers provide, or LinkedIn has some additional ones. You're starting to see more avenues and venues coming into play right now as a result of COVID-19. But I think there is great value in attending them because I think that speaks to your personality. Students as go-getters, as self-starters, someone who takes the initiative. It's really all about career management, which again, by the way, is another skill, as we talked about skills before. So it begins with truly familiarizing yourself, I think, with all that you can about the employers, the industries, the needs within that industry. I think the events help you to do your homework and help you to research the companies and the industries in which you're becoming interested in and looking forward to. Attending those events foster activities in networking. They provide opportunities for students to have conversations with employers. They allow students to learn how to identify and articulate their skills and their strengths, the knowledge that they've learned in academia, as well as the experiences that they've gained through some of their internships, their co-ops, some of the opportunities that are provided to them. And in that way, they're connecting and becoming relevant to the industry, the company, or even the position that they desire. I think some of those events key into the information and the strategies that students need as they start to develop short-term and long-term career goals. You know, whether it's your first destination after college or whether it's the career that you've always sought and you stay with it for longevity. Employer events, Allie and Christine, can really share insight into specific companies and their cultures and really allow students to make new contacts, networking for their job searches. I also, in this same light, would recommend students use the Career Center resources as early as possible in their time at Lehigh. Our career coaches, two of you are to speak of them, and directors really assist students with learning how to shape their experiences and how to tell their story as the candidate who should be hired. And that's really important. Students can get assistance with the development of their cover letters, their resume build, tips and strategies for interviewing, and exposure and experience with our career expos, and really navigating those events now in a virtual space. So in addition to Handshake, I think the Career Center's blog, our Instagram and our LinkedIn accounts are all great resources as well. So many resources for our students to really advantage them in their job searches. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention also interviewing with Big Interview, which is the video series that I hear our coaches talk about all the time. I think the video series can help students throughout the recruitment process because I think even after preparing them for the great interview and getting the position, there's also segments that help them once they have the position to become their best selves as they make a place for themselves within the culture and the climate of the company into which they're hired. So students, it's really important that you know yourself, you understand your talents and your skill sets, and you know how to work them, and that you work on getting the experiences that will help you showcase all of your skills and use them when telling your story. So really it's about knowing yourself, your talents, your skill sets, and how you can best use your experiences to showcase them in telling your story.
shared so many wonderful perspectives on really leveraging your opportunities that you have to connect with our employers. We're very fortunate to have a strong network of employer partners and alumni here at Lehigh, so really appreciate that. And certainly the Career Center is here to prepare you when you're accessing those connections and to really utilize those to the best possible advantage for yourself. I'm thinking at this point, we're going to take some questions. Do we have some questions, Christine?
Yes, we do. So one of the questions is, how are employers viewing credit versus non-credit classes on transcripts?
That's another really good question, Christine. It's been a debate around campus too, I know. But with the employers that I've heard from and with whom we've been talking, I think that they are very understanding of our students, the situation in which they've had to end their college career, whether the pass-fail option, they are truly very understanding. And they know that in this environment in which we're finding ourselves, it may not be the best way to showcase a student's talents or skills to grade on an alpha or numerical scale, as opposed to a pass-fail, which demonstrates that they have the competencies, that they've been exposed to them, they've experienced them, and they've learned them. Again, I'll draw you back to identifying those areas where knowing your skill sets, playing up to your skill sets, pass-fail is certainly something that I think many, if not all of our employers will certainly understand in this time. And it's a blip in their transcript for the period of time in which we're doing. So I've found them to be very accepting of that.
Thank you for that response, because I think it's really helpful for our students to understand and realize that if there are some pressures they can take off of themselves, if they might not be doing really well in a class, this might be that time to take advantage of. It won't maximize the situation and take the pass-fail or the pass class.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the Career Expo is such a large-scale event. Are there plans for the fall semester at this point?
We are in the planning stages of it. We're hopeful to maintain our date of September 10th. That was the one that was the savior date and held out there for our employer partners. And it looks like we're going to be able to continue to move forward with that date. We are obviously, taking advice from the college and the university, the CDC guidelines, all of those kinds of information sources, so that we're sure that we are being safe and appropriate for our students, maintaining social distancing. So to that end, it's looking pretty much like we're going to jump into the virtual fair market and provide virtual fair programming and virtual expo opportunity for our students and the employers with whom we partner. So stay tuned, be on the alert. We'll be sending more information out and getting things published to Handshake as well as, our Lehigh Career Center website.
I think that's excellent information. And I think that, I think as a university, we have really transitioned to this virtual model. And I know that, Cheryl, you've done so much research on different virtual career fairs, and I'm sure that it's going to be a success, just like our other ones have been in the past.
Christine, I hope so. And I feel really good about it based on the team and our efforts and what we've done. The other really exciting thing about moving into this virtual space is that our students are so comfortable in the space. Technology has driven much of what they've done, and we know that. But I think as an additional resource, the coaches and the directors within the department are really working on putting together some sessions and segments to help students understand how to best present themselves in the virtual world when they're in a virtual interview like this, when they're in a virtual career fair and they can be texting and talking with employers and then find themselves in a video chat with an employer during that time. So know that we have things in the works, and when we move further in that direction, I would suspect as students are coming back or starting the fall semester, we'll have all of that in place for them, and we'll be advertising some of those sessions and opportunities so that our students are feeling very comfortable in the virtual environment and in that space.
I think what's interesting too is that virtual career fairs are not something that are new. I think they're going to gain popularity. Many of our employer partners have already been utilizing them. So for them, it's just changing the format a little bit, but we'll all just get on board and that will become our norm for this fall as well.
I believe so. Yeah. And I think, futuristically, we'll start to see a blending of virtual events. And when we know that it's safe and appropriate to to have employer partners back on campus with our students. When our students are back, I think we'll start to look at some of those hybrid opportunities, because I think face-to-face does offer some of those unique representations of students and employers, and that real personal high-touch possibility. So for the fall, it looks like it'll be virtual, but I know that we'll be seeking to do some combinations of things as we move forward and work into our new normal.
That's great. So we have another question. With many companies in turmoil, is now still a good time to network with alumni and recruiters?
Absolutely. Absolutely is. For the job itself, key to networking and getting to know those contacts and people who can help you and support you along your way. But I think our alumni are tremendous in their support. They understand Lehigh. They know the value of the education that our students have received. They understand the jobs that they're now in, and they can help to serve as liaisons to those first points of contact. They also can serve as mentors during a student's, during a new employee's time in a company. So no matter what the time is, any time that you can make a connection with someone, get some information, understand better what the industry is like, and have them help you to define your skill sets, I think you're always advantaging yourself. So I would say that the best thing to do is what you as coaches have been suggesting to our students, and that is to continue to be out there searching, looking, making those connections, using our alumni network to help you get a foot in the door and utilize their information about companies as you're doing your homework and research.
There's also a lot of virtual events that are listed on Handshake, which I've been very happy to see that companies are still having these events throughout the summer. And if possibly an internship got canceled, or even a full-time position got rescinded, or even if you're a freshman and a sophomore and weren't intending to do an internship this summer, jump on those events and then make sure that you follow up with those recruiters afterwards, connect with them on LinkedIn, and maybe have a follow-up question from that. But it really builds that relationship and bridges that gap between the employer and the student.
I also would encourage students to tap into Lehigh Connects, because it's a great tool for our students to connect with our alum, and also for alum to continue to connect with alum. It's, once you're in the Lehigh community, it's part of the family, the Lehigh family. So just exciting for all these opportunities we have available.
Absolutely. So we have another question from a student. It says, what would be your biggest piece of advice during the pandemic?
Oh, goodness. I think, just sharing some of the things that we said before, being able to pivot, being able to demonstrate your level of resiliency, demonstrate the opportunities that you've been given to investigate some of the online courses or online opportunities, some of the virtual opportunities that employers themselves, the information sessions, the events that you see on Handshake, taking it upon yourself to develop some opportunities for project-based learning, get the experiential base to complement your academic success that you've had at Lehigh. I think you need to check out the Handshake on our Handshake tile, check out the micro internships and some of those short bursts of opportunities to get experiential learning in. You'll see on the Handshake tile that you can connect with Paragon One or Parker Dewey. We've just added MindSumo this week in terms of some of the connections for experiential learning. Those are all coming from employers with whom we work. So that's another great connection and opportunity to demonstrate during the time that you have the interview of what you did in response to COVID-19 and how resilient you were to continue looking and searching and knowing that, this has happened to all of us. You're not alone in this. And our employers understand that. They're doing the best they can to make sure that the environments in which they're going to be welcoming you are safe during these times. And so it may take a little while longer, while they're reacting and responding to the impacts, but those opportunities are coming. And I think as we start to see more communities opening up, going to yellow and green, we're also seeing an uptick in the employers. So really just being renewed, getting out there, accessing the events, being resilient, and keeping up with your resume, Your LinkedIn profile, having everything be complete, is another good strategy, another good advice. Touch base with our career coaches. See if there's anything that you're missing, anything that can enhance your story, that can demonstrate to employers at a glance who you are and what you can do for them.
I absolutely agree with you. And in the past, we've had these 10 questions that usually encompass about 80% of interview questions. And I think going forward, what did you do during the summer of COVID-19 is going to be in that top 10. And the constant is that we are all in this pandemic, but the variable and what's going to set you apart is how did you use your time? And that shows a lot about you. And I think that you really touched on that beautifully. So thank you. I just want to open this up. Are there any additional questions from any of our student attendees on this webinar before we are finished? Okay, well, Cheryl, I just want to say thank you so much. We really appreciate your insights and you did an incredible job. So thank you. Again, we are here to support you through all of this, and you can make individual appointments. You can log into our Career Lab 2 to 4, Monday through Thursday. But we are here to support you, and we want to support you and make this as seamless and take the stress off wherever we can.
Agreed. Yes, thank you, Cheryl. And also keep a lookout for future events. There's going to be more industry insights coming up, and also different events throughout the summer, as Cheryl pointed out, so many different opportunities. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Much success.
Thank you.